What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? We are back here today with another installment of our redraft series, and today we are going to be redrafting the 2007 NBA draft. So this draft is known for one of the biggest misses in NBA history with the first overall pick for the person that ended up going second. We'll get to that obviously in this video, but looking back on this class, it was pretty horrible. Like, this might be one of the worst draft classes of the 21st century that we kind of have like a full aspect on all the players drafted. But you guys have been showing great support on these redrafts. If they keep getting over 20,000 views and 1,000 likes, I'm going to keep pushing them out. So drop a thumbs up if you guys are enjoying these. And without further ado, let's get into this redraft. So coming in with the 14th overall pick in the 2007 redraft, we have the Los Angeles Clippers selecting Corey Brewer out of Florida. So Corey Brewer is going to be the first of 3 Florida players drafted in the lottery in this redraft. It came down between Corey Brewer and my 5 other honorable mentions we will get to in a little bit here at 14. Corey Brewer played on 8 teams in his 11-year career, but he actually won an NBA championship with the Dallas Mavericks in 2011. His best season came when he was 27 years old, playing for the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2014, where he averaged 12 points, 2.5 rebounds, and almost 2 steals a night, while also shooting 48% from the field. His best days were definitely in Minnesota, but yeah, he did get a ring in Dallas. You really can't say that about a lot of these players on this list in the redraft, but he's going to come in at number 14 to the Clippers. And that is going to be better than their original pick, who was Al Thornton at 14 in the original draft. Coming in at the 13th overall pick, we're going to have the, at the time, New Orleans Hornets select Jeff Green out of Georgetown. Jeff Green was originally selected 5th overall on a draft night trade that mainly sent Ray Allen from the Seattle Supersonics to Boston, and really Seattle getting the rights to Jeff Green. Green was kind of somebody that never really lived up to his super high potential in the NBA. His career started off pretty good. In his first 3 years in Seattle/OKC, he averaged 14 points, 6 rebounds, a steal a night, and shot almost 35% from 3. But in the 2011 season, he was traded to Boston, and then in 2012, he didn't play at all due to a heart condition and was really never the same. He did have his highest scoring season in 2015 for the Boston Celtics, who were kind of rebuilding or retooling at the time. He did average 17.5 points for them and shot 43% from the field, but he bounced around like Corey Brewer on a bunch of teams in the NBA. He's played on 9 NBA teams in his 12-year career, including being on 8 different teams in the last 5 years alone. The Hornets originally took Julian Wright out of Kansas with the 13th pick, so this is going to be an upgrade for them here at 13. Coming in with the 12th overall pick here in the 2007 redraft, we are going to have the Philadelphia 76ers select Rodney Stuckey out of Eastern Washington. So Stuckey originally went the first pick out of the lottery at 15 to the Detroit Pistons, and he had a very short NBA career, but from the years 2009 to 2015, he was a pretty solid player. He wasn't anything special, but he was a nice scoring wing off the bench. He averaged 14 points, 4 assists over those 6 years, and shot 31% from 3 and 43% from the field. He was also pretty good at getting to the line and was a good free throw shooter at that. He didn't turn over the ball that much. He was a pretty solid passer. He was just kind of inefficient from the field and took a lot of bad shots from time to time. The original pick here was Thaddeus Young for the 76ers, so it's a little bit of a worse pick for them, but they still get a solid wing that they could play off the bench from time to time. Coming in at the 11th overall pick, we are going to have the Atlanta Hawks select Ramon Sessions out of Nevada. So Sessions is going to be our first second round player going here, and he actually went 56th overall in this draft. Like Jeff Green and Corey Brewer, Sessions has played on a bunch of teams in his career, playing on 10 NBA teams in his 10-year career. That's kind of crazy. He did have a really nice peak from 2011 to 2014, where he averaged about 13 points, 4.5 assists, 3 rebounds, and shot 43% from the field and 81% from the line on about 5 attempts a night, which is pretty good. But he was a journeyman in the NBA. He really never found his home to stick at. The Hawks took Ace Law out of Texas A&M here at pick 11. Only played 4 years, 188 games in the NBA, so this is definitely going to be an upgrade for them. So we are in our last pick now of the double digits in this redraft, and we are going to have the Sacramento Kings select Arron Afflalo out of UCLA. Afflalo originally went 27th overall to the Detroit Pistons, and he played his first 2 years in the NBA for them, and he really didn't do anything at all, averaging 3.7 points as a rookie, 4.9 points as a sophomore, but he ended up going to Denver in his 3rd season, and he really broke out there. From the years 2011 to 2015, Afflalo Afflalo played on the Nuggets for the first 2 years, Orlando for the next 2 years, and then a mixture of Denver and Portland in that final 5th year. He averaged 15 points, 3.5 rebounds, and shot 38% from 3 on 4 threes a night over those 4 years. Afflalo's presence is still known today here in the Eastern Conference, as he was traded from Denver to Orlando back in 2015, and the player the Magic got back for Arron Afflalo is Evan Fournier, who's been a pretty good player in the NBA over the last couple of years. Afflalo actually did play 1 year in Sacramento, the team that just took him here in the redraft in 2017. He only averaged 8.5 points for them in 61 games. The Kings originally took Spencer Hawes here, so this is a slight upgrade for them with the 10th overall pick. So like I said, I did have 5 honorable mentions. We can go through them now before I get into the top 10. We have Carl Landry, Aaron Brooks, Brandon Wright, Tiago Splitter, and Greg Oden. I honestly thought about maybe putting Greg Oden here at the 14th overall pick, because if you do this draft over again and you kind of play his career, I'll quote Ben Simmons, 10 more times, this career he got was probably the worst one it could ever be. His knees just couldn't give out. It's not because he was a bad basketball player, it was just kind of internal injuries, which sucks. But yeah, those are my 5 honorable mentions. Let's get here into the top 10. So coming in with the 9th overall pick, we are going to have the Chicago Bulls select Marco Belinelli. Belinelli originally went to the Golden State Warriors with the 18th overall selection. So Belinelli spent his first 2 years with the Warriors, then he went to the Toronto Raptors in 2010, spent 2 years with the Hornets up to 2012, 1 year with Chicago in 2013, but then really found his home over the next 2 seasons in San Antonio, where he was a big part of their 2014 championship team. In 2014, when he did get a ring with the Spurs, he averaged 11.5 points and shot 43% from downtown on 3.5 attempts a night. And then he ended up getting a pretty decent sized contract from the Kings, then bounced around on the Hornets, the Hawks, the Sixers, and is now back with the San Antonio Spurs today. There has been a lot of journeymen in this draft so far, with Belinelli, Arron Afflalo, Ramon Sessions, Jeff Green, Corey Brewer. I don't want to spoil this pick here who the Bulls took. You might already know, but yeah, it was definitely a downgrade over who they got at pick 9. Coming in with the 8th overall selection here in the redraft, we are going to have the Charlotte Bobcats at the time select Jared Dudley out of Boston College. So Dudley actually went 22nd overall by the Charlotte Bobcats. He spent 1 year there, but his best years were definitely in Phoenix, where he spent from the years 2009 to 2013, where he averaged 9.5 points, 3.5 rebounds for them, but played pretty good defense and also shot 41% from downtown on about 3 attempts a night. But like so many of these other guys that have been drafted so far, he's played on a lot of teams in his career. He's played on 7 different teams and 8 different stints, 2 with Phoenix obviously, throughout his 12-year career. He's currently playing for the LA Lakers. What you really can't say about a lot of these guys, everybody I've mentioned so far besides Marco Belinelli and Jeff Green are pretty much out of the league. So there is a chance for Jared Dudley to get a ring this year. The Hornets at this pick took Brandon Wright out of UNC, who was in my honorable mentions that I talked about earlier. Coming in at the 7th overall pick, we are going to have the Minnesota Timberwolves select arguably the biggest steal out of the first round in this draft, Wilson Chandler out of DePaul. Chandler did go 23rd overall to the New York Knicks, and this was actually a really good pick for them. He didn't really do much in his rookie year, but he broke out in his sophomore year, averaging 14.5 points and shot 33% from 3 on about 4 attempts a night. Then he spent the next year and a half for the Knicks, and then in his age 23 season, he was one of the bigger pieces in the massive Carmelo Anthony trade back in 2011. Then he proceeded to play the next 5.5 seasons for the Denver Nuggets, where he averaged 13.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, and shot 35% from 3 on 4.5 attempts a night. He has spent the last 3 seasons on 4 different teams though, being on the Denver Nuggets, the Philadelphia 76ers, the LA Clippers, and the Brooklyn Nets this year. The T-Wolves originally selected Corey Brewer here with the 7th pick, so this definitely would have been an upgrade at the small forward position for them. And are you surprised? Throughout the 2000s and early in the 2010s, the Timberwolves missed on a lot of first round picks. Moving up here to the 6th overall pick, we are going to have the Milwaukee Bucks select Thaddeus Young out of Georgia Tech. So Thaddeus Young originally went 12th overall to the Philadelphia 76ers, where he spent his first 7 years of his career there from 2008 to 2014 with the Sixers, which is kind of unheard of so far in this draft, spending that many years with the team that drafted you. But over those 7 years, he averaged about 14 points, 5.5 rebounds, shot 32% from 3, 50% from the field, and got over a steal a night. But then he bounced around on some teams over the next couple years where he spent time in Minnesota, Brooklyn, then had a 3-year stint in Indiana where he's been very consistent. So back on the night of the 2016 draft, Sean Marks had one of the worst rosters ever to rebuild with of all time with that Brooklyn Nets squad, and he was able to flip Thaddeus Young for the Pacers' first round pick, which ended up being Caris LeVert. In the 2019 offseason, Young did sign a 3-year contract with the Bulls, and he was slightly a disappointment this year. He wasn't bad. He still averaged 10 points and shot 35% from 3, but you could definitely see there was a little bit of regression this year. But he will be a massive upgrade of who the Bucks originally got at 6, and that was Yalen, another power forward, but he might have been the biggest skill-based bust in this draft. Now we are into the top 5. So we are going to have the Boston Celtics select Joakim Noah out of the University of Florida. So Noah obviously went number 9 to the Chicago Bulls that I mentioned about him earlier. He is now joining Corey Brewer as the second Florida player going in this 2007 redraft. He was the 2014 NBA Defensive Player of the Year and finished top 5 in MVP voting in that season. He's a 2-time NBA All-Star. He's been on All Defensive Second Team once, All Defensive First Team twice, and was on All NBA First Team in 2014. His peak was definitely from 2010 to 2014, and over those 5 seasons, he averaged 11.5 points, 11 rebounds, 3.5 assists, over a block and a half a night, about a steal a night, 49% from the field, and was one of the league's best defenders at the center position. The Celtics ended up trading this pick on draft night to the Sonics. That ended up getting them Ray Allen that I mentioned earlier, but Jeff Green was the pick here at 5, and Joakim Noah is definitely going to be an upgrade over Green. Coming in at the 4th overall pick, we are going to have the Memphis Grizzlies select who they originally took at 4 in the actual 2007 draft, Mike Conley out of Ohio State. Over Conley's career in the NBA, he has been one of the more underrated players at the point guard position. Over his first 5 years in the NBA, he averaged about 12.5 points, 5.5 assists, and shot 44% from the field. But he really broke out for Memphis in 2014, and in his next 5 years in Memphis, from the years 2014 to 2019, he averaged 18 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, over a steal a night, and shot 37% from 3 on 5 attempts a night. He's one of the league's smartest players. He's one of the league's nice and most respected players. He's still never got a technical foul in his career, which is kind of crazy, where he's played over 800 games. But unfortunately, Conley has never made it to an All-Star game. He was All Defensive Second Team back in 2013 and was 17th in MVP voting in 2014. He's finished top 20 in assists 7 times in his career, and the Memphis Grizzlies are going to be the only team in this redraft getting who they originally selected at that specific pick. Now we are into the top 3. We are going to have the Atlanta Hawks select somebody they also drafted here in the original 2007 draft. That is going to be Al Horford out of Florida. So Al Horford is going to be the 3rd and final Florida player drafted here in the 2007 redraft. He spent his first 9 years with the Hawks from 2008 to 2016, averaging 14 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists a night, while also shooting 53% from the field, 34% from 3, and 74% from the line, while also getting over a block a night as well. Like Conley, he's one of the league's nicest and most respected players. He did sign a massive contract with the Boston Celtics back in 2017, where he ended up playing 3 seasons for them, averaging about 13.5 points, 7 rebounds, but really upped his passing game, averaged 4.5 assists, and definitely upped his floor spacing, where he shot 38% from 3 on 3 attempts a night over those 3 seasons. Then he signed a pretty massive deal with the 76ers in this past offseason in 2019, and it has not panned out as Al probably would have liked it to. He's a 5-time NBA All-Star. He was on All-Rookie First Team in 2008, All-NBA Third Team in 2011, and All-Defensive Second Team in 2018. He probably will not be a Hall of Famer, but he definitely deserves just a little bit of consideration when that time comes up after he retires. So coming in with the 2nd overall pick, the Seattle Supersonics are going to take the biggest steal from this 2007 draft, the biggest riser, and that is going to be Marc Gasol. Gasol was technically drafted by the Lakers with the 48th pick, so he's gone up 46 spots. Him and Ramon Sessions are definitely the 2 biggest risers in this draft, but you'd obviously rather have Marc Gasol. Gasol was traded pretty much for his brother on draft night, being shipped to Memphis, where he played pretty much his whole career before the last 2 seasons, where he was traded to the Raptors in 2019 in the middle of the year. We all know he won a ring with them, but in his first 10 years in the NBA, he spent it with the Grizzlies, where he averaged about 15 points, 7.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, shot 48% from the field, 34% from 3, and 78% from the line. Like I said, he was an NBA champion with the Raptors in 2019. He was the 2013 NBA Defensive Player of the Year, but for whatever reason, he was on all defensive second team that year. He was a 3-time NBA All-Star. He was on the 2013 All-NBA second team and the 2015 All-NBA first team. He finished 12th in MVP voting in 2013 and 8th in MVP voting in 2015, and he's going to come in at number 2 in this redraft, and we all know who the Sonics originally took at number 2. And coming in at the number 1 overall pick here in the 2007 redraft, we are going to have the Portland Trailblazers select Kevin Durant out of the University of Texas. This was a monumental miss for the Blazers back in 2007, and this still wasn't even their biggest draft mistake in their team's history, because back in the 1984 draft, they took Sam Bowie out of Kentucky at 2, and Michael Jordan went number 3 to the Bulls. So yeah, that one was just a little bit worse, but this one is right up there with that. Greg Oden, who their original selection, only played 3 years in the NBA, 105 career games, and had to retire way too early due to injuries in his knees. But Kevin Durant ended up turning out to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players of all time, and he's not even 32 yet. He averaged 20 points for the Supersonics in his rookie year, and then they ended up moving to OKC, where over his 8 years in Oklahoma City, he averaged 28 points, 7.5 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 49% from the field, 38% from 3, and 88% from the line. We all know that he shocked the world and signed with the Golden State Warriors back in 2016, where he spent the last 3 seasons with them. He averaged about 26 points, 5.5 assists, 7 rebounds, and then he ended up signing with the Brooklyn Nets in the 2019 offseason. He is a 10-time NBA All-Star. He was the Rookie of the Year player from this draft class back in 2008. He won the 2014 MVP award. He also won the 2017 and 18 finals with the Golden State Warriors, where he was the finals MVP for both those rings. He's been All-NBA second team 3 times in his career and All-NBA first team 6 different times. He's finished top 10 in MVP voting 9 different times. Obviously, he was the 2014 MVP, but back in 2010, 2012, and 2013, he was second in MVP voting. And he's going to be no doubtingly the obvious pick here as the number 1 overall pick here in the 2007 redraft. So that is going to be for me. I hope you guys enjoyed my 2007 NBA redraft. Let me know what you thought about the video in the comment section below. Drop a like if you guys do enjoy the redrafts. I really appreciate it. This, honestly, probably one of the worst drafts out of the top 5, because yeah, you have great players like Kevin Durant, Gasol, Horford, Conley, and Noah, but then it drops off noticeably with Thad Young, Wilson Chandler, Jared Dudley. Then it drops off even more with Marco Belinelli, Afflalo, Sessions, Stuckey, Green, and Brewer. But yeah, this draft really hasn't aged all that well. But like always, thank you all for watching. Drop a like if you guys did enjoy. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.